and this is the last word, and I'm Maria Shakil. Under attack from the opposition over alleged attempts to change the constitution, the BJP has fallen back on the emergency card. In fact, BJP continues to use emergency as one of its strongest weapons against the Congress. On day one of the inaugural session of the 18th Lok Sabha, Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioned emergency. Today marks the 50 years of the dark chapter. BJP today came out all guns blazing from multiple cities. From BJP headquarters in Delhi to Lucknow, from BJP President JP Nadda to Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Congress has called it an attempt to divert from its own failures. We have a big newsmaker coming up shortly. Former Vice President of India, Venkaiah Naidu, shares his experience of emergency days. But first up, here's what happened today.
देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया था, लोकतंत्र को पूरी तरह दबोच दिया गया।
A day after the Prime Minister's comment, the opposition showcased its increased strength on the first day of the Lok Sabha with a copy of the Constitution in hand. While the BJP launched an offensive, the dark days against the Congress with its top guns holding programs on the emergency across states and districts. Early in the morning, the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister held a press conference, followed by JP Nadda addressing an event against the emergency.
कांग्रेस आज भी उसी रास्ते पर चल रही है और उसी का परिणाम है। जहां भी कांग्रेस नेतृत्व की सरकारें हैं, उनका रवैया, उनके कार्यप्रणाली, उनके द्वारा किए जाने वाले कृत्य इस बात के उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करते हैं।
मैं आप सबसे इतना जरूर चाहूंगा कि आप जिन लोगों ने इमरजेंसी देखी है, उनसे आप इस सप्ताह में जरूर मिलिए और उनसे आप जरा जानने का प्रयास कीजिए कि किस तरीके को भारत को पहुंचा दिया गया, कैसी परिस्थिति ला करके खड़ी कर दी थी कि उस समय जिन लोगों ने प्रजातंत्र की रक्षा के लिए अपनी आहुति दी थी, उसकी ताकत के कारण आज प्रजातंत्र मजबूत होकर के खड़ा है।
In UP, other BJP leaders like KP Maurya and Brajesh Pathak, both deputy chief ministers, also addressed programs against the emergency. The opposition has hit back at the Prime Minister's comment and the BJP's campaign.
The Prime Minister on the first day should have spoken about the NEET paper leak. He should have spoken about the railway tragedy, 40 people has died. Therefore, these are all the real issues. Stock market scam was there. Prime Minister is not ready to speak about that thing. We don't want to hear the lecture on emergency. It is an undeclared emergency now in India.
The opposition and the BJP's battle over the constitution continued on day 2 in Parliament.
I'm about to enter.
Bureau Report, NDTV.
We have a very special interview lined up. Venkaiah Naidu, former Vice President of India, has spoken about his own experience during the emergency era. In fact, he spent 17 months and 21 days inside the jail. Joining me now on the show, Salman Soor, spokesperson of the Congress. We have Shazia Ilmi representing the BJP. Nirja Chaudhary, senior journalist, is also joining us. I'm going to begin with you, Shazia. 50 years later, the BJP has brought emergency on the surface again. Why does the BJP see this as a potent issue?
Well, of course, it is a potent issue. It goes on to show what Congress party is capable of. And it also goes on to show that the party which has its MPs, playing about the copies of Constitution, actually what it means and what it stands for. Because these are the people who talked about BJP in disparaging terms and made a fake narrative that this party will come to power with an absolute majority once again and change the Constitution. Surely, I think the title is Look Who's Talking. A party that has toppled, that has used Article 356 90 times, 50 times alone by Indira Gandhi and toppled 3 state governments. A party that has gone ahead and used and amended the Constitution 75 times. A party that imposed emergency, which was the darkest days of our independent history, needs to be told as to what it is And when it makes these fake allegations and this creates this fake narrative and this falsehood and says, oh, actually, Samvidhan khatre mein hai because of BJP, I think it needs to be shown the mirror, not once but many times over. If you look at the governments of EM Namboodiripad in Kerala or MGR, or later when NTR was getting treatment, or even Sharad Pawar, it was them. If you look at what happened when Anna Hazare Andolan was going on, something that of course Arvind Kejriwal has forgotten, but we all remember how an octogenarian Anna Hazare was thrown into the jail, how the civil liberties were trampled upon, how much we got beaten up during Nirbhaya Andolan, people like me who were on the streets, all done by the Congress party. So Congress party must embrace its past and cannot run away.
So you have
from
to embrace the past. You have to embrace the past, Salman Soz, because all these optics of standing with the constitution is all very well, but when it comes to those days, those 21 months, the Congress really hasn't, condemned it outrightly. Do you think when we are looking at the 50th anniversary, there should have been a statement from the Congress chief and also from the Gandhis, not the manner in which it is being said, that there is an undeclared emergency. Hitting back may not be the right answer.
Maria, I'm happy to see that the Prime Minister, whose party members just before the election in 2024 talked about changing the constitution of the country. He has finally realized how important this is for all of us. Despite his undeclared emergency of the past 10 years, he wants to hark back to the times of 50 years back. They talk about one aspect of Indira Ji's time, but they forget to mention, but people have not forgotten, by the way, that it was under Indira Gandhi ji that Bangladesh was liberated. Land reforms, far-reaching land reforms were enacted. The Green Revolution, which revolutionized the entire agriculture sector, she did it. She came through with it. The nuclear program, she started it. She abolished the privy purses, which gave money to princes and princesses in this country. She expanded education and health. And then when she had done all that, she gave her life for this country. Which person on this panel can say that our family members have done that? Maybe we've all sacrificed it one way or the other, but the ultimate supreme sacrifice for this country was given by Indira Gandhi ji. So all these people, these small people, from Narendra Modi to everybody else in the BJP, they can say whatever they want about the emergency, but they cannot forget that in this day and age, the people of this country, the young people of this country, want to talk about the issues that matter to them today.
Okay.
The issues of whether it's our children who are basically getting a hopeless kind of life from this NEET fiasco, no jobs.
Yes,
TV,
Salman.
nothing is happening. So I think that is what people want to focus on.
Salman,
These people can talk about Indira Ji, but they will be defeated no matter what.
Yes, issues of today do matter. It's about, jobs and other concerns. But you do talk about, absence of freedom of speech and expression. You blame the government for that.
Yes,
but
yes,
do you think you'll have also much to explain?
No. Actually, in
what
fact,
about the historical responsibility?
No, there's nothing to respect. So the historical responsibility of the Congress party is that we brought independence to this country, freedom to this country, the freedom for these people to speak against us, and which is great, and we respect that. But, Maria, the question really is, were 150 members of parliament suspended under this government or not? Were thousands of people detained in my state of Jammu and Kashmir after Article 370 was abolished without any debate in parliament? Yes or no? Is every day do we see the excesses of public institutions that have become arms?
I have one question to Nirja and then I come back to both the politicians. Nirja, how does this emergency pitch complement the BJP narrative? Or is this an understanding that BJP perhaps is the most consistent anti-Congress voice, because all those leaders who were seen at the forefront of the anti-emergency agitation are in many ways part of the India bloc now?
Yeah, now that was the irony of it all. Minus the BJP, yes. Those who are barring the Congress, certainly the Socialist, Janata Dal U group, RJD, all these people oppose.
Samajwadi Party.
Yes, absolutely. they come from that stream that was opposed to the emergency. And I think emergency was something that should never be repeated in the country again. And there are lessons to learn from it, and it was a mistake. And I think the Congress always, when confronted with it, tries to go on to other issues, justifying that the good things were also done. The only good thing that Indira Gandhi did, and that is being debated even today, was to have elections in 1977. She declared them herself. And at a time when there was absolutely no need to go in for election. She was in control of the situation. There were no sanctions from the world community. There were voices in the West that were critical, but there was no sanctions as such. And why did she go in for it? And people say today there are two versions. That was it because she was a Democrat Nehru's daughter more than Sanjay Gandhi's mother, who was seen as the unconstitutional authority behind the throne of the Prime Minister during the emergency year. But she did, and it was a fair and free election. Otherwise, she would not have been routed. So I think the Congress needs to, I wish the Congress would frontally say, yes, this should never have happened, and that we have lessons to learn from it.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, responding to it would have been better than calling it diversionary, because, today is the 50th anniversary of those very, very unfortunate days. Shazia, come in on this. I mean, the charge is that there is undeclared emergency.
Yeah, well, unless and until you say something that is quantifiable, that can be factual, that can be substantiated, where actually you can point out as to what should have been and what is not being done, where exactly is the contravention, who will believe that? Those are just words, those are just semantics. And also when you keep saying undeclared emergency with nothing to show for it, because we know how Supreme Courts have been running and how High Courts have been, how all kinds of judgments have come through, how the election has been, whether it's the EC. So everything is just foreign flat. So when you keep saying it, it's like say a lie enough number of times, in this whole Goebbels-like manner, and it'll become the truth. It will not become the truth. The fake narrative that, BJP will change the constitution will not become the truth. But yes, this has been the truth. Let's now embrace the truth that has already happened. Then
that alleged fake narrative, Shazia, did damage you electorally.
So 10 seconds. So what has already happened is real for everybody to see and know and learn from. Then what could happen, which could be part of fake narrative. And secondly, and most importantly, he was saying that, Privy Council and all of that got done. While he's talking about all the good things, I mean, we all know how terribly she resented Gayatri Ji, and where that came from a deep-rooted hatred and jealousy, and how she treated her. So although there are a lot of negative stories and a dark side of Indira Gandhi, which we also know about. So let's not just valorize something only because we want to defend the emergency and make light of it. This family. No, BJP does not come from any one family. Those are just regular folks. The person leading it is a chai wala, comes from a very simple family.
Salman Nirja, who has been a veteran observer of Indian politics, is of the opinion that the Congress perhaps should respond to it in a more frontal manner, rather than coming up with those answers which are seen as evasive.
Maria, the Congress party basically, in this election and before this, we've been fighting for the Constitution. What does that say? We believe in the Constitution. We believe in what Baba Sahib Ambedkar gave us. That is the issue that we took to the people of the country, and the people of the country agreed with us. There is nobody in the Congress party saying that we should have any kind of an emergency. And we've been pointing out that this government has unleashed an undeclared emergency. In all practical purposes, there is an emergency in this country. Much of the media has been basically taken hostage by the BJP. The influence of money, corporate money in this country now is tremendous, is great. I mean, worse than in most countries in the world. It is true. It is true that
Yeah,
public
nothing to
institutions,
say.
Shazia, you may laugh. Shazia,
Okay,
your
I have just
arrogance,
enough time for Neerja. Neerja, quick word from you. A number of Congress MPs, including Rahul Gandhi, took oaths today as members of Parliament, holding the Constitution. What does that imagery tell you of the Congress's attempt at countering this narrative of today?
That is not fair.
Look, I think it's a good thing that MPs are taking the oath, and holding up the Constitution, because that's sacrosanct for any member of Parliament or anybody who's in government or aspires to be in government or is, has to run the Parliament along with the government. So that's a good thing. And obviously the Constitution as a narrative clicked with some sections of the public during the election, and the Dalits shifted from the BJP towards the Congress. That's a fact. That's one of the reasons why the Congress has done well and the India Alliance has done well. But to vow to uphold the Constitution, the Prime Minister also, bent himself before the Constitution. That's a very good thing. But I would say, on the emergency, as I said, it should never happen before. We all know in the media what we had to submit to.
Yes.
To the censor every week. I was working on a weekly every week, and there were things, there were change and guidelines were constantly
Neerja, I have read those stories that you all have shared of what it was like. The press freedom completely curtailed during those days. Extremely scary times. Certainly, Neerja, Shazia and Salman, thank you so much for joining us. In fact, now we have a first-person account. Former Vice President of India, Venkaiah Naidu, spoke to me some time back, and he recalled what was it like during those periods, those 21 months of the emergency days. On this day in 1975, emergency was declared, and then began what has been the biggest blot on Indian democracy. There are leaders who lived through those 21 months. I have with me former Vice President of India, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. You have often said that there should be lessons in textbooks for young students to know what really happened during those days. You have lived through those months. Yes. Would you recall for us?
Yes, I am very particular on what you have said just now about making this as a syllabus for the students to know what has happened to the country in 1975, emergency, why, how, and then how it was lifted. All these things must be made known to the youngsters because they are the future of the country. Secondly, I was sitting in a student meeting at the time. Friends were discussing, chatting. Suddenly a message came to me saying that emergency is going to be imposed. Emergency was a word which is not that much familiar with us. And then they said, please go underground. That was the message from ABVP. So I skipped away from the meeting and then slipped to some other town and changed my attire and all. 2.5 months I avoided emergency, arrest. And I was going around on a scooter, taking one of the girls who was a co-worker behind me so that people do not suspect me, and then changing attire and all. I used to go around and then distribute pamphlets, drop pamphlets in cinema halls against emergency, distribute this Vande Mataram newspaper, etc. That's how we campaigned against emergency. Later, one fine evening, and I was returning back to Vijayawada to give back the scooter of my friend. The manager of the theatre, owner, who is my friend, that manager was telling Circle Inspector, you are searching for Venkaiah Naidu, sir. That fellow is innocent, he do not know all this. He said he has taken scooter from Seshibhushan Babu, he will be coming back. So the inspector was waiting there, and I came there, he caught hold of my hand. I told Ramurthy, what are you doing? I know that him. He said, DSP is there behind, please cooperate. Then they arrested me, put me inside jail for 17.5 months.
17.5 months you were in jail.
Yes.
And that was the time when all the student leaders were in jail.
Most of the student leaders were in jail, and because the reason they have cited for my arrest was that I invited Jayaprakash Narayan to the university. I was chairman of the Students' Union. And then we heard about the Gujarat Navnirman movement and also this Chhatra Andolan of Bihar. There was movement against Abdul Ghaffur, late Abdul Ghaffur government, against corruption, against price rise, all those things. And JP was invited to Bihar. He came there and then he started addressing rallies and all. So there he has given a call. So I invited him to my university. He addressed the students. Students were very much impressed.
So that was the charge against you? Just an invitation for Jayaprakash Narayan?
Just an invitation for Jayaprakash Narayan. I was not in politics. I was not a member of any political party, but they cited this as a reason. MISA, Maintenance of Internal Security Act. Of course, we jokingly lightly used to call it as Maintenance of Indira Security Act.
Okay. And those 17 months in jail, you must have met all your ABVP friends, all of them were in jail at that time. Who among the present leaders were in jail at that time, sir?
At that time in different places, of course, Sushil Modi was in Bihar. Ram Vilasji also was in Bihar. Not ABVP, but student activist and all. In the present generation, only Mr. Hari Babu, who is the governor of Mizoram now, he was in jail, along with me in the same jail. But I had the fortune of being in the company of veterans, freedom fighter Teneti Viswanathan, who was a member of parliament, former minister in undivided Andhra Pradesh, that is presidency. Tamil Nadu, Andhra and all used to be together. So he was there in the jail. And one Ravi Shastri, a leftist revolutionary writer, great poet, he was there. A lot of other people also were there. So we used to chit-chat, discuss among ourselves, exchange our views.
17 months. What about your...
Months, 21 days.
And what about your family?
My family, I must tell you, I got married and I completed my degree. So by the time I went to university, I was already married. So my wife, poor lady, she was in village, in my maternal uncle's daughter. She was in the village, just people used to go and then tell her that he is not going to come back, Indirama is not going to release these leaders and all. But still, she was having that much confidence that I'll come back one day. And she waited. And finally, emergency was lifted because the IB advised Indiraji that everything is fine. Trains are moving, buses are going, roads are peaceful, no strike, nothing. People are happy with emergency. So you can lift emergency. And then already there was international public opinion against India and against Madam Gandhi. So believing the story, IB story, she has lifted emergency and ordered elections. And I was released from jail. To my surprise, evening news was that I am selected as a parliament candidate at that young age. So I came out of university and went to jail. And from jail, I came out and then filed my nomination as a candidate for the Lok Sabha.
So 17 and a half months of pure learning.
Yes. And there was another interesting episode. The news came that the rising star of Indian politics, late Sanjay Gandhi, is coming to Visakhapatnam, our university, that area. So we got message that Sanjay Gandhi is coming here, and Mr. Raghuramaya, late Raghuramaya, who was the Parliamentary Affairs Minister in Srimati Gandhi's cabinet, he wanted to bring Sanjay and launch him politically. He used the phrase, rising star of Indian politics, Sanjay Gandhi. So we got message that we should disturb that meeting. So next day we pretended as if stomachache, and some of us referred to the hospital, King George Hospital, KG Hospital. And the pretext of stomachache and all, there is a medical officer in jail, but ordinary illness and all he will cure. If there is severe this thing beyond his this thing, then he used to refer us to government hospital. There our fellow students came and we planned, and then we have decided to disturb his meeting. Meeting took place. The beginning of the meeting, and Raghuramaya rose to speak and said, hey, I am introducing you to the rising star of Indian politics. So the moment he mentioned that, the students started shouting, snake, snake, snake. And everybody was looking the other side and then trying a lot of jostling and pushing and all. Snake, snake, snake. These boys, some of them, they carried water snakes in plastic sachets. And then they opened it there. So people thought real snakes are coming, and then they ran helter shelter, and the police started meanwhile lathi charging also. The entire meeting got disturbed. The superintendent of police, he sent a report to the government saying that this boy is doing mischief in jail. He should be shifted from Visakhapatnam. So I was shifted from there to Hyderabad jail, where there were large number of detainees, and it was a further knowledge for me because interaction with a lot of other seniors also.
And sir, these days we hear a lot about Save the Constitution call which has been given by the Congress party. What are the thoughts that come on your mind?
See, I don't want to make political comments because I have occupied a constitutional position of Vice President of India. But Constitution, safeguarding Constitution means safeguarding democracy, safeguarding fundamental rights. And people should remember, that's why I say this emergency should be part of the syllabus, and the younger generation, present generation, they should know about emergency, about the strengthening of the fundamental rights and the freedom of press, etc. That's why I said it. Protecting democracy is protecting Constitution. The Constitution, rule of law. So I need not further comment on what these people are saying. Yes, Constitution has to be safeguarded. But Constitution, people who changed the Constitution number of times, if they raise that slogan, it will not carry much conviction.